What's going on, guys? I appreciate you all tuning in, and today I'm going to be making a special video and also my first video, and this is going to be my story. My story on how I got into the gym, and my story on how I went from being depressed, I went from being skinny, to now being in the best shape of my life, and more importantly, being happy, living a life of fulfillment, and obviously that's kind of the end goal for everyone, I feel, is to live that fulfilling life and truly find something with passion, find meaning in life, and just find your purpose. So I really do hope this helps you, especially if you're in a similar situation I was in at the start, which I'm sure you'll soon to realize that you and I aren't so different. But to kind of start off, I started working out when I was, I don't know, 14, 15, and all the way up to this point, hated my image. I couldn't stand it. And I was never like absurdly skinny. I was never absurdly fat. I was in that awkward skinny fat like position. I had a little bit of chub on me, but I wasn't super skinny. I was never athletic, never outperformed anyone in gym class. I simply just wasn't special. And I would always look in the mirror and just kind of wish that I had that six pack there. I wish that I had those abs, and I wish I had like bigger arms. I wish I had bigger shoulders. I just wish I had a physique that I could be proud of. But I didn't do anything to change it. I sat there every day and I looked in the mirror every day thinking that I wanted to be different. I wanted to change, but I refused to change. And that's the first lesson in this, is that if you don't take action to change, you can't expect changes to occur. And this doesn't just happen with fitness. This is with any area of life. If you don't take action and you are not pushing for a change, the change will not happen. You have to implement things into your life to make that change. You can't just keep feeling sorry for yourself and expect it to change, because it sure as hell won't. And during this time too, I was never happy. I wasn't comfortable with my image. I couldn't talk to girls. I was scared to talk to girls, still am. But I didn't like who I was. And so this inspired me to actually get into the gym. I got into the gym when I was 16, like I mentioned before, and I started doing home workouts. Again, didn't know what I was doing, but the difference between 16-year-old me and 14-year-old me was 16-year-old me took action. And that is the number one most important thing you can do, is take action. Nobody wants to hear what you're going to do. They only want to see your progress and see what you're doing. So if you talk about all your goals, you talk about how you want to get in shape, you want to start that business, whatever you want to do, if you talk about it, nobody gives a fuck, okay? You need to understand, nobody cares what you're going to say. Nobody cares what you have to say if you haven't done it, okay? People are going to hate on you if all you do is talk about the shit that you're going to do. No one cares. Do it. Work in silence. Do those things in silence, but don't just sit there and yap about it, because nobody cares. That's another lesson I need you to understand. Nobody's there to hold your hand. You don't need fulfillment from other people. You need that fulfillment from you. You need to do this for you. You need to get in shape for you and not for anybody else. So when I was in this position, I was 16 years old and I had that drive. I finally found that drive. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had that drive. And I literally remember setting up 2 chairs in my basement and doing dips. I'll put a video up there for you. I was sitting in my basement doing dips on a fucking chair. I was doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. All the bullshit 6-minute ab exercises, I did every single one. And I got results. I did get results. And I looked a bit better, but I still was nowhere to the point where I wanted to be. I knew that I was meant for so much more. And because of this, I started going to an actual gym. I had a good friend of mine take me under his wing and kind of teach me and show me like what I needed to do. And so having this person take me under his wing completely changes the course of my life. I need you to understand that having one person to help you along the way, having one person to guide you, will completely change your life. I had a kid who was a senior, I was a sophomore in high school, took me to his home gym every single day, completely changed my life and the course of my life and brought me to where I am today. So having that person help you from the start is crucial. You're never in a position where you have too much knowledge too. You should always be looking to expand your knowledge and grow, and that's how you're going to make progress. Once you make some progress, once you make some gains, you can't just expect to sit there and be complacent and think that you know everything. I see all these people on TikTok now, people on fucking Instagram. They think they know everything there is to know about fitness. And I don't know everything there is to know, by no means. But I'm learning. But I'm applying myself. If you stop applying yourself, you stop learning, and that's when you stop progressing. You have to always be hungry to be better. Say your goal is to lose 50 pounds. You lose 50, alright, great. Let's either lose more or get you in a bulk and put on muscle. Never be complacent. The second you become complacent is the second progress ceases to exist, and you make no more progress. Complacency is what's going to kill you. So back to my story. I was 16, started working out with this kid, completely changed my life. In those 3 months, I started really putting on muscle, really putting on size, actually learning how I wasn't just skinny fat or skinny anymore. I was actually starting to put on muscle. And I followed this for a very long time. Continued to make progress, continued to grow. And in this time, I got my first girlfriend. And Being in that relationship led to a place of comfortability. Remember what I said before. Being comfortable kills you. It is the worst thing that you could have, because once you stop having that hunger for progress, once you stop wanting to do more, you stop progressing. So I didn't have that hunger anymore. I didn't have that drive. I had gotten a girlfriend. That's what I wanted at the start, right? I just wanted to be able to talk to girls, have that confidence. Why is that a bad thing? Because I was seeking external validation. All I wanted was this validation from somebody else, some girl to tell me I look good. I didn't do it for me. I did it for somebody else. And that's what led to me staying in the same position even after I had this knowledge, even after I learned. Why? Because I stopped learning. Because I was complacent. Complacency will kill you no matter what stage of life you're in. I hope I'm 60 and I still want to get bigger. And I know damn sure that I will be, because I will never be complacent again. Once you understand what complacency does to you, you will break out of that cycle forever and never get back into it. But you need to get out of it first. You need to understand that it is holding you back, your quest to not learn. If you want to stay in the same position, you are failing in life if you don't want to keep progressing. That's what you need to understand. So when I was in this position and I had this girlfriend, I wasn't progressing. And I didn't realize this until after the relationship, once I got my heart broke. Why? Because I wasn't complacent anymore. Because I was upset, because I was in a place of discomfort. That discomfort is what you need as a man. That is exactly where you need to be, is in a place of discomfort. You shouldn't expect to just have this comfort and have somebody holding your hand the whole way through life. You need to experience these things and experience being on your own and experience growing for you, not for somebody else. If you go through a breakup, you get dumped, you shouldn't be doing this just to prove to them that they lost out, whatever. Do it for you. Do it for yourself. Be better for you, and that's when you'll find happiness. That's whenever you'll make real progress. Because, one, you're not complacent. You don't want to stay in the same position. You want to keep getting better. And two, you're doing it for you, for nobody else, for you. And that's what you need if you want to be successful. That's what you need if you want to keep making progress. You have to do it for nobody in this world other than yourself. So once I had that fire lit under me again, I realized that I needed to do this for me. And that's when I made that discovery, that I had fallen in love with the gym. And that I knew that I wanted to keep progressing. So I did. I kept learning, and I kept learning, and I kept getting better and better, building more muscle, teaching myself, educating myself, working with a coach, etc. And then I got into a stage where, like I talked about before, how we shouldn't be talking, we should be doing. I turned into a talker and not a doer. Why? I told everyone I wanted to bodybuild. I told every single one of my friends, oh, I'm going to compete in this bodybuilding show. And I didn't do it. And then the next year, the same thing. I didn't do it. Why? I was a talker, not a doer. I talk about all these things, and I didn't do a single one. And that completely destroys your credentials as a man. Why? Because you're not good for your word. As a man, your word is one of the most important things you have. And if you break that word, if you go against that word, you're a loser. You're not the man that you talk yourself up to be. You're trying to portray yourself as somebody who is this hardworking man, is successful, but you can't do those things that you are saying that you're going to do. So that is a serious problem. And if you feel like you're in those shoes, you need to break out of that now. Stop talking and start doing. So I was in this position for so long where I said I was going to bodybuild and I didn't. And then one day it flipped. A switch flipped. I had a talk with one of my friends, and he pretty much sat me down and said exactly what I just told to all of you. That I've been talking about it for so long, why don't I go fucking do it? So I did. And I did a late prep, and I placed shit, and I didn't look good, but I did it. I stepped on stage. I was no longer a talker. I was a doer. So what do I do after this position? And I want you guys to put it into perspective as well. I'm in a relationship during this time. This is when I had a new girlfriend, right? So again, that complacency starts to set in. And at this point, I was so comfortable in my life. I had just started my freshman year of college, going to the bar all the time, kind of taking the gym half serious, whatever. Like, it was just on the back burner. And I was in such a comfortable place in this relationship and in my life that I wasn't striving for anything more. I hadn't started my business. I hadn't put effort into social media to grow and to create longevity and create a personal brand like I do now. I was simply complacent. I would go to class in college, go to my classes, hit the gym, eat whatever the hell was at the dining hall, and then on the weekends I'd go to the bar every night. And that's not good. That's a place of complacency because you're not leveling up. You're staying in the exact same position. And like I said before, you can't stay in that same position. You can't be complacent and you can't be comfortable with where you're at. I was comfortable, and that's why I stopped progressing. So as I continue on with this relationship, I'm in that same place of complacency. And I decide I want to bodybuild again. I want to be a bodybuilder. I know I've put on size. I know I can do good in the show. And I'm like, all right, let's jump the gun. Let me find a coach. I want to compete in, let's say, 25 weeks. I want to do a real prep. And so I did. I did do that real prep. And as I go through the prep, my relationship started to regress. I was in this relationship for around 2 years, and it started to go to shit. And I kept asking myself why, but I understood it's because I was not that comfortable person anymore. As a man, if you are with somebody who only wants you when you're that comfortable person, when you're in that comfortable state, you will not progress and they will not progress. You are holding each other back, and you need to accept that and leave the relationship. And I didn't understand that. I wanted it to work so bad that I was willing to give up who I was in order to stay in a relationship. And I know that hits hard, and I'm sure that hits hard for a lot of you, but it's true. If you're in a relationship and they don't want you to do better, they don't want you to progress, they don't want you to take on new ventures and do new things, they are not the person for you. You need somebody who would be with you if you were dead broke, failing at your business. You need somebody who would support you the whole way through your fitness journey, even if you still look like shit and you were failing and you're trying to get better. Because as a man, you have to understand that a woman is the most important thing in your life. You need to have a woman that supports you, but having no woman at all is better than having a woman that doesn't support you. So if you're in that position, you need to get out of that in order to break free and get out of that comfortable state. So I started to kind of break out of that comfortable state on prep. And like I said, that's why the relationship started to regress. And then as we fast forward, I'm 5 weeks away from my show. What happens? I get dumped, and I don't know where to go. I'm completely lost. I have no direction in life. I know I have this show in 5 weeks, so I know I have to put my head down, and I'm getting all my work done. I'm doing everything I need to do, but I'm not happy, and I'm not fulfilled, and I don't know what to do. And I'm in this position where I'm so scared what the next move is. I just want the relationship back. I want that comfortability back. Why? Because I've been in a relationship my whole life. I was scared. I was uncomfortable, and I didn't know that's what I needed. I thought that I needed that comfortability. I thought that I needed somebody to hold my hand the whole way. And whenever I didn't have that, I was scared and I felt worthless. I felt afraid for what to do moving forward. So as I get closer to the show, I start to think and I start to kind of process things and talk to a lot of people about how I'm processing it. And I realize why I felt so scared. Because I had somebody holding my hand the whole time. And during that time, I wasn't progressing. I was staying the same. I was simply in a place of comfortability. Being comfortable will kill you. You need to understand you can't stay comfortable. It's not going to help you at all. You're going to stay in the same position. So as I get closer to the show, a fire lights under me. I keep working harder, and I stop thinking about why it ended and start understanding that it's all part of the process. You have to understand that everything happens for a reason. And me getting into that uncomfortable state changed my life, as I'm about to tell you. I get to show day, and I win 2 out of 3 classes and have an amazing, amazing day. And I realize I found a purpose. I found a purpose on my own, more importantly. I found something I love that I did by putting myself in an uncomfortable place, and nobody held my hand. Nobody did that for me. I did that for me. And that's what you have to understand. You have to do things for you. I wasn't doing that for anyone other than myself. And to this day, the reason I bodybuild, the reason I started my business, the reason I do everything is for me. Nobody else. And you need to understand that you shouldn't be doing stuff for anyone else besides yourself. You should be getting better for you and you alone. And with that, after I competed in this show, I still don't have this full sense of direction yet. I don't know where I want to go in my life. I know I'm loving bodybuilding, and I know I'm in this uncomfortable place, but what can I do with it? So I realize that there's so many other people out there like me. There's so many other people who were in the same position as me that are afraid to be uncomfortable, afraid to break out of that barrier. And so what do? I start my first business. And that's when I started coaching. And when I started coaching, started working with people, I invested a lot of money, more money than I had, into working with mentors for my coaching and for my business. And I've never been in a more uncomfortable situation. I was in debt. I was working 60 hours a week just to pull myself out of debt because I didn't know if it was going to succeed. And I made it to the point where there was no other option. I had to succeed. I simply could not fail. And that's the position you have to put yourself in. Because when your back is against the wall, you will not fail. There's an old saying I like to hear, and it is that if somebody offered you a Ferrari for $10,000 and you had $5,000 in your bank account, you would find a way to find that $5,000. The same way if somebody told you if you lost 50 pounds, they'd buy you a Lambo. And if you had 6 months to do that, you would lose fucking 100 pounds. You would not stop until you smash that goal and hit it. So why does it take that much motivation extrinsically in order to get you to that goal? You have to do these things without that motivation, without that drive. You have to understand that You don't need that motivation. You just need to do it for you because you're the only person that you should be trying to impress. So I start that business and completely change the course of my life through that. I continue being more consistent on social media. I accumulated UGC deals totaling thousands and thousands of dollars, and I am a college student now, making more than the starting salary for my major from social media alone. So I need you to understand that the reason I'm here, the reason I'm sitting in this seat today, and the reason I'm able to help other people change, the reason I even started this business and I started coaching and changing people's lives is because, one, I was in your shoes. I understand where you're at right now, and I understand how to get you to where I'm at right now. And the next thing, the reason that I'm succeeding and the reason that I'm going to continue to succeed and continue to get better and continue to progress is because I will never let myself become comfortable again. I won't be complacent again. And that's the difference between me and 99% of people. You can't be okay being comfortable. You can't sit there and look at yourself in the mirror and say it's okay to stay in the same position for years and years at a time, because it's not. You need to understand that it is not okay to stay in the same position. The second you become complacent, the second you fall into that trap of just living the same life over and over again and spinning on the rabbit wheel, that's when you die. Not when you're buried. Whenever you become complacent and you decide that you're done progressing. So I understand now. I'm very happy with the position I'm in, but I'm not complacent, and I will never be complacent. And all this started from me being that skinny fat kid who didn't like where he was and did something to change. So if you're watching this and you made it to the end of this, do something to change. Don't just sit there and tell yourself that you're going to change. Don't just sit there and tell yourself that you could be better. Go be better. And more importantly, do it for you. Don't do it for anyone else. Do it for yourself. You deserve it. No one else deserves it. You do.